Hey guys, what's going on? It's Sean, Canadian Brew Channel. I started pulling this air conditioner apart. I should have probably started from the beginning of what I was doing. Basically, I want to make a Glycol Chiller for my beer out of this air conditioner, and I just started pulling it apart. I can kind of go through what I've done, but like I said, there's lots of videos out there, guys doing this. Well, maybe not a lot, but there's quite a few I've seen out there. And I'm just going to go through my basic points I'm thinking of now. I'm also going to go through how I pulled this control board off, because a lot of air conditioners, this one's only 2 or 3 years old, but a lot of air conditioners now, they have controls like this. It's not as simple, just you know, pull a couple switches off and then just jump it out. So this is yeah, it's 2 years old. It's got refrigerant 410 in it, which is the old ones have R22, which you can't get anymore. So this one, at least, you know, it should be good for a nice little while. It's, like I said, only 2 years old, so it should last. It's 8,000 BTUs, so it's a good size for what I want to do. And what I've done basically is done what most guys do, is they've pulled off this cooling fan, or sorry, the circulation fan that pushes the air through the evaporator here, which is the part that gets cold. And I've got my condenser fan here for my condenser, still in place. But what I'm starting to debate now is this plate here. A lot of guys will just cut it off because they want to have enough room to put the cooler up underneath here. Or should I bend it up? Because I don't like to just cut stuff off, then you get a sharp edge. And if I just bend it straight up, I may be able to just leave this here instead of having to cut it off. Or maybe I'll just cut the threads off to give me some room. But the other thing I'm trying to debate is which way to put this coil. It would be pretty easy to take this coil and just bend it down a little bit the way it is now, and just bring a cooler up almost level with this. Would work fairly well. But I am an HVAC mechanic, and I just thought about where the refrigerant might go, because refrigerant comes in when after it's gone through the compressor. It's compressed through a high pressure through what this is called as a capillary tube, and then it expands through here through this distributor and evaporates as it drops in pressure, and that's what grabs the heat out of this coil, which is what you're trying to do. But the refrigerant runs like this. In an air conditioner, you've got air that's running through usually at like 75 or 85 degrees Fahrenheit, which is enough to excite the refrigerant, so that when it pumps back here, back through into, this is called a receiver down here, into the compressor, it's still in a gaseous state. It's full of heat, so the compressor can then compress it, and we can remove it as it's going through here, the condenser. So here's our top part where it comes out, and it goes down, goes into our condenser. It basically removes the heat, then it comes back through here into here, pulls the heat back out of here, comes through here, gets compressed again. But if it was a cold day and you ran your air conditioner and was like, you know, 40 degrees out, it could actually freeze your coil, and it could cause it not to excite the refrigerant enough to have enough heat that's in the refrigerant. And then when it comes back here, there can still be liquid in here. And if you have liquid that comes down, and actually, sorry, that is not a receiver, that's an accumulator, and it comes back down and goes into the bottom of the compressor, it could slug into the compressor and ruin the valves, and the compressor is done. Then your unit's no good. So what I was thinking is maybe turning this coil down so the refrigerant's moving up and down, giving it more chance to basically boil off more evenly than maybe it's sitting and slugging in the bottom. I don't know. I don't know if you got any guys out there, or HVAC guys, if you have an opinion on it. Sorry, like I said, I screwed up. This is an accumulator. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what would be the best way for this. But I am thinking putting it straight up and down, turning it, is probably the best way for refrigerant flow. I think it will be the best. What I've done here too is, like I said, I took out the board, and I've just jumped out the circuit here. I don't know, maybe I'll go into more details about it, but when I looked at the diagram, it was a little bit confusing at first for me, because I work on bigger systems that have, the compressors have like a start relay on them, where this one here basically the start and run go through this capacitor. It doesn't have the same wiring I'm used to, but I've basically just jumped out the board by the power coming in this white cord here. The black is your main power, and so I've just jumped it out with a red here that goes to this black, which then basically goes back to the compressor, and also this wire here, ignore that it's white, that red, that's the high speed for the fan motor here. And then I have also a blue wire that comes off the capacitor that goes the other side of the neutral to the fan, and also there's a gray wire, here he is, that goes off the capacitor to keep the fan running as well. So this capacitor in most air conditioners, even the ones outside in your house, are dual. They use one capacitor to run both, help with the fan and the compressor itself. So I've just jumped it out, I just tested it, it works great. But yeah, I am just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this piece here. I think I am going to tilt it to be straight up and down, and I think I might try to bend this piece by cutting it here and at the end there and fold it up so it gives me a smooth lip, and it still brings me closer this way to bring a cooler down below. But I don't want to just start hacking this whole plate, because if you look underneath, this plate has like feet that it supports it to sit on. So I don't want to have that destroyed. I'm just talking right now because I just started pulling this apart. I mean, here's the pieces I've pulled out so far. You know, I've pulled the foam apart that separates it from the hot and cold side, because in an air conditioner, this is the side that's inside your house, this is the side that's outside of your house. So as the fan runs, it basically is pulling the air in this way, pulling out this way, outside to eject the heat through the side fins there, and in here it's split with a little fan, so the air here, it just basically gets pulled through this coil from the inside of your house here. So there's your separation for temperature differentials through the refrigeration. It's not through the movement of air. So yeah, I've just started this project. I looked at getting glycol systems online, and they're anywhere, you know, I don't want to get a really crappy one that's like $800 and it breaks in a year. So if you look at half decent ones that you trust names on, you're looking at $1,500. I'm in Canada, so by the time you bring it across the border and whatever and pay taxes and duty on it, it's at least $1,500. And this air conditioner was $300. A cooler is going to cost me $40 and a few hours of my time, and this thing probably should be up and running. The only other thing I'll have to get is glycol for this, which is usually about $15 a gallon. Not a big deal. And I've got already a pump that came with a cooling coil that I got from Spike Brewery, so that's fine. And the other thing I'm also going to have to get is, right now, because I've got this just straight jumped out, compressor just runs and runs and runs, I'm probably going to get an Inkbird. But the one thing I want to make sure that everybody understands too is you can't just get any kind of a control and hook it in with the compressor, because this thing draws about 6 or 7 amps. And I just want to make sure that you understand that if you make sure that the rating that is on your control can take the amount of power that it needs. And I'll discuss that in a little bit. This is gonna be one whole long video. I'm not gonna do a series on this, but for now, this is Sean signing off for Canadian Brew Channel, tearing apart an air conditioner to make a Glycol Chiller. Cheers. Hey guys, okay, so the last time I think I left off, I was putting the coil into my container here, my cooler, and I broke it. So here it is, right here, right there. I broke it. I was twisting around on it too much, and I didn't snap it off that bad, but it started leaking, and I'm like, okay, great, that sucks. But luckily, I think I already mentioned I am a reefer mechanic, so what I did is I went over to Rona and I picked up 50 feet of 1/4 inch refrigeration copper tubing, and I basically cut it in half and rolled it, split it to make 2 25-foot lengths, so I got more even coverage. And I have welded it in place here. You can see where that's the suction, or sorry, that's the cap tube coming off. It splits off there, and down in here you can see where the suction returns back here. And I had to add a Schrader cord here for access to the system, because they don't come like that when they're brand new from the store. So that's kind of a messy looking coil there, but that's okay. That will work. I have charged the system up, so it is working in that way. But the one thing I wanted to show you too is the wiring that I've done, because I did have to disconnect the board that I had out of this controller here. This board here was the main power board, and there was also like a touchpad board. I had to take that out as well. So I went and I bought myself one of the ITC 1000s. This is just the bottom of it here, and I've wired it in. So what I ended up doing is I still kept, see the white power cord here that's down the floor here somewhere? I still use that power cord, and this is 110 volts. So the black wire would be your power wire, and then the neutral wire is the white. So I basically, on the white wire, I've tied it in here where it goes to this capacitor, which then is used to run both the fan, which this blue wire is for, and also there's a red wire back there that goes up to run the compressor right here. So that's on the neutral side. And then what I've also done is then I've had to put in a contactor to start my compressor on and off, because the power board itself, it had a contactor on it for doing that, which was, let me just get this here, that black contactor like right here, that was the relay that would turn on and off the compressor. Now online I saw people using this ITC 1000 to do the same thing. It's rated for 10 amps, it says, for heating and cooling, but there's a difference between inductance current and also having current for like a heater, resistance current. Resistance current, it's just like a heater or something like a fan. You can run that, no problem. But when you're running a motor, it creates what's called back EMF, which can then cause it to short out things like this. I didn't trust that the little tiny points in here would be able to hold the load of this compressor. So I bought myself this, obviously, to control it. But down in here, I've also got a contactor that will open and close the power for my fan and my compressor here. So that way, this is rated for 30 amps. I don't have to worry about this. So what I've done, if you take a look at what I've connected, is I have 110 volts here that comes into the controller so it can run. And that basically just comes off of right here. I've got a black wire and a white wire that just grab power from the power cord coming in. Okay, there's your 110 to run the circuit. Then I've got here, you can see that little pair of black wires. That's temperature control. That's going to end up going down in here, and when I fill it with glycol and water to set the control up to be able to see what the temperature is and cycle it on and off. And then here is my wire that I set up for, basically it's a switch for cooling. And over here it's basically, I have it jumped off of the white, so it gets the neutral from the white, and then the other side comes down to here, which is basically coming back from this switch. So the common, or sorry, the neutral wire is connected to come to here in the white, and then when this closes, it goes back through the black, comes back here, and goes to this side of the contactor. This is one side of the coil for the contactor. The other side I've got a blue hooked up to, which is always going to have power from the hot side. I know someone might say, well, you should be switching the hot side, whatever. It's what I decided to do. But this will now control this little switch from here. This little switch in here doesn't have to take a load except for whatever this coil draws, which is probably like 3 watts instead of like 6 amps. And I will be able to basically have this contactor come on and off. So that's basically what I've done for the wiring. For the fan speed, these 2 wires are like a medium and a low that I've taped back, and the red is the high. I may, if I want to in the future, change that and take the red off, maybe use the medium or low speed. A lot of guys hook it up for a high speed, but I don't think it's necessary when it's in your house and you're doing glycol cooling. Maybe it is, I don't know. But I'll see how it goes when I'm first running the unit. So yeah, basically I made also myself a little cover here that's going to go on so you can see the controls sticking through there. And that will help, you know, keep it from anyone sticking their fingers in there. I also took from this air conditioner, I took the little electrical panel box and used it in here to hold a couple components in. So this here is the run capacitor. It's now bolted back in so it won't move around. And I will be mounting this contactor onto the side right here. And then I'm going to put this back on and then I'm going to test it. But just want to let you know where I was with this, that yeah, I screwed up when I bent the coil. The reason it cracked is, first of all, like I said, I'm a refrigeration mechanic, so I'm used to moving stuff around, but the piping right here and here is pretty thick. You can bend it quite a lot, but the copper that is inside of the condensers or evaporators inside here is really, really thin, and it easily cracks. So I screwed that up, and what are you gonna do? A bit of swearing happened, but that's okay. Like I said, I was able to repair it, and now I'm gonna put it all together, and I'm gonna try testing it, and I'll let you see what happens then. Cheers. Hey guys, so I've got it going here. It's a little noisy because I've got an issue with this fan. I've got the shroud's a little loose. I got to fix that, but I've got it running, and it's been running about 20 minutes. It's down to 8 degrees Celsius. I've got the glycol in here, and I've also got the pump running. I just set it to go for 35 degrees, so it's got a while. It's got to pull it down. I've got 5 gallons in my fermenter that it should pull down to 35 degrees, I'm hoping, in a few hours. We'll see. I've already got frost coming back from my suction line, which means it's working really good. Down to 7.8 now, and that's while I've got the pump running too, which means it's going to be doing double duty to cool this liquid down, to also... Okay guys, sorry, just keep getting cut off because I'm running out of storage on my phone, but I've reset this controller now to go down to 0 degrees and give it 3 minutes off cycle for when it first asks it to turn on, so it gives it 3 minutes. But I also increased the differential from 1 degree to 3 degrees. So I want this to cycle a lot less. I'd rather it's run longer and cycle less. It's better for the system. And it's been about 15 minutes that it's been running, and it started at about 68 degrees. So it's coming down, and I'll let you know what happens when it gets down to my 35 degrees. Cheers. So that concludes, I guess, my my build here and my testing of my glycol system. I set it for 40 degrees. I'm cold crashing at 40 for about a day. And then I'm going to heat it up to about 50 degrees, dry hop for about 2 days. Then I'm going to cold crash it down to 35 and pressurize it. Right now I've only got it at like 4 psi, and I'm pressurizing it to probably 15. I can go up to 15 psi with this to carbonate it. So I'm using this like a bright tank, and then I'm going to keg it. But this is working out really well. You see down here, it's sitting right now at 2.1 Celsius. That's the temperature in here of the glycol, and everything's working really well. I'm really happy with what's happening here. Now, one thing I will say, this is a little off topic with building this system, is when you cold crash with this, and this is the main reason that I built this, is to cold crash. Is now I'm at 40 degrees. I was at 68 degrees, and in 3 hours it dropped down to 40. Really, really good. It's awesome. But you need to be able to pressurize your system if you're going to cold crash quick like that, or even when you just cold crash slow in a fridge, because you don't want it to get any air into the system as it cools. So I put 5 psi in this before I started cold crashing it, and it dropped a pound just because everything's condensed as it gets colder. But other than that, everything looks like it's working really well. I'm happy with this build. I still got a few things I got to fix on it. I put this stuff here just because it was so noisy with it rattling. I jammed this piece of wood in here now, for now, just to keep the fan shroud from bouncing around, and it became much quieter, which I'm happy with. So yeah, guys, if you have any questions, if you want to put them in the comments, and I can address any of them. But right now, this build went fairly well, except for me breaking the coil, but I was able to fix that. But hey, you know what? I can logger now, so I can do some loggers. That'd be cool. I can cold crash. This is giving me more more things I can do now with my beer, which is always fun. So guys, Sean, Canadian Brew Channel signing off here. Thanks for watching my video, guys. Cheers.